welcome to Ad America TV. My name is Aninda, one of the guests here in Ad America. It's really nice to see you all. We hope you're all doing well and staying safe at home. For those of you who just joined us for the first time, Ad America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have moved temporarily to a digital platform so you can enjoy our events from the comfort of your own home. Tonight, we'll be discussing writing a statement of purpose for U.S. grad school applications with Education USA at America. But before we begin, we have an exciting news for you. Continuing our 10th anniversary celebration, Ad America is inviting you to celebrate Friendship and National Hispanic Heritage Month through #USConnected. We are giving away Apple AirPods. To know more and how to join this activity, stay tuned until the end of the event because that's when I'll let you know how to join. In the meantime, let's break the ice with a little trivia. The question for today is, which of the following is not an element of the statement of purpose? Is it A, academic interest, B, relevant work, C, previous research, or D, research budget? You can start typing your answer on our social media because in the end of the event, we'll do a live shout out for those of you who can guess the answer correctly. Other than that, don't forget to take a selfie and tag Ad America's Instagram account. Without further ado, please welcome Kak Vina Latas, our advisor from Education USA at America. Time is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Anin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ad America TV. My name is Vina. I'm one of the advisors for Education USA based in Ad America. And I don't know, have you guys been to Ad America before? I miss Ad America for sure. But anyway, I'm very excited to have this session tonight, guys. If this is your first time, please share with us in chat because starting in August onward, Santika and I, we basically receive a lot of new inquiries, new advices. So please share with us if this is your first time. I always look forward to having new advices. But what is interesting is that we also learned that there are some people who have watched this session before, and then this is their second time, third time. So if this is not your first time, also please share with us. We also want to hear about that. So again, hi everyone. If you're not watching this in Zoom, but you are on different platform, because Ad America is amazing that way. We are not only in Zoom, but we are currently live on Facebook, Twitter. We are also on Instagram. What else? I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. But wherever you guys are watching this from, feel free to stay there. If you have any questions, leave it in the chat or comment wherever platform that you're using. We already have our Ad America team standing by, collecting all these questions so that later on, after I'm done with the discussion, I'm done with the presentation, we are going to read all these questions. But if you want to join us here in Zoom, feel free to do that. I have my colleague Santika with me, who will basically interact with you guys in the chat Zoom feature while I'm giving the talk. Okay. And also, I would highly recommend you to probably have some, you probably want to jot down some of my talks tonight. Yeah, so please feel free to do that. And because it's going to be quite long, but hopefully you're going to learn a lot from this session tonight. So I'm going to give you just a very brief, introduction about Education USA at America, just very brief. There are two advisors again here in Education USA at America, but of course, Education USA Indonesia is not only in Ad America, but we actually have some other centers across Indonesia. You can definitely check us out on Education USA website. But now you guys are with Education USA at America. There are two advisors. Again, my name is Vina. Santika is somewhere in chat. I am going to call her up once I'm done with my talk. The advising hours is interesting with us because it's every day. So we are available 7 days a week for you guys. And our advising hours also interesting because we don't do the normal office hour like 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, but we actually do from 1 until 9. So assuming that, since the topic is how to write a statement of purpose for those of you who wants to continue grad schools, we are assuming that you guys are young professionals, or maybe you guys are still in college, but the hours is interesting because you can still see us in the evening, right? Until 9 p.m. Obviously, there is no advising session right now because Santika and I are running this event. But when there are no events, you can definitely see us from 1 until 9. Our advising system is technically it's first come, first serve. But if you want to make an appointment with us, you can also do that from calendly.com/EducationUSA. I always forget, it's at EducationUSA AT America, but Santika will help me share the link. But I also leave you the Zoom ID here as well. If you don't want to use the appointment system and you just want to kind of like jump into Zoom, you can also do that. 276-124-396. There is no password. You can basically just come in. I also want to apologize for some of you who are unable to see Santika or I because we are very busy, guys. I'm going to kind of like give you some heads up as well, because starting in August onward, we actually receive a lot of new inquiries, new advisees, and there are only the two of us. So please keep trying coming into Zoom and wait until we let you guys in, okay? In the meantime, if you don't want to, if you're not ready for whatever reason, not ready yet to see Santika or myself in Zoom, you can email us first if you want to do so. Maybe you want to introduce yourself, or maybe you have some quick questions. Don't worry, we always check our email and we always get back to you. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible, but we are definitely going to reply to your email. So you can email us first to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. Hopefully you have been attending this session. We are having introduction to IELTS. Last month we had introduction to TOEFL. If you're missing that one, let us know. Santika can share with you the YouTube links. But this month we dedicate the series of IELTS. We're going to have the third session this coming Saturday, so definitely check that out. If you didn't get a chance to watch the previous one, all of our events are going to be uploaded to YouTube, our YouTube at America's YouTube page, including the session, right? It's great that I can see some of you guys here, having you guys here live, but should you want to rewatch some part, or maybe, you want to share it with your friends, you can basically just tell them, go to at America's YouTube page, okay? Next week, you definitely want to check this event out. Tommy Aditya, one of my advisees, who is currently studying MBA at MIT Sloan. So if you want to apply for an MBA program, or maybe you don't want to apply for an MBA program, but other programs, but you want to hear the application process to US universities, especially to highly selective universities, you definitely want to hear from Tommy, okay? Because we're going to listen to his stories from the beginning until, now he's a current student at MIT. Maybe you also want to apply to MIT and you want to kind of ask him, what is it like to study there? Okay, so Tommy will join us from the US. So he will spare his very early morning with us. So I think he will be very happy to see you guys here in Indonesia, okay? Our upcoming events, the one that I just told you, is already available on America's website. So definitely go check that out. atamerica.or.id/educationusa. Scroll down all the way to the bottom of the page, and then you can register via Zoom in there. Okay, that would be great, so that you don't have to put it on your calendar, because I think you're going to receive a reminder a day before, I guess, to your email. Okay. That's that. Okay, so hopefully you guys are ready. If not, please, grab a cup of coffee or tea. But again, like I said earlier, you may want to jot down some of my talk. If this is your first time, just a heads up, I'm not going to give this talk with a presentation slide. So think of it pretty much like a podcast, maybe. So yeah, I have some notes here with me that I'm going to basically just share with you verbally. And so here you go. Are you guys ready? We are talking about writing a statement of purpose, or SOP. This is going to be your friend. You're going to hear this over and over again. Writing a statement of purpose for US grad school applications with EducationUSA at America. Why I put EducationUSA at America in the title? Because I would say this is the number one service that a lot of people, if not all of our advisees, come here for. So basically, people coming to see me or Santika for a statement of purpose, among other things like resume or CV. These are kind of like the topics that we cover, right? So let's start. Okay, before I start, if there are some of you who are still in high schools and then you kind of like, wait, what? So this is for people who want to study masters. Technically, yes, it's statement of purpose. But if you're still in high school and you want to continue your S1 in the US or undergrad, I believe you can also learn from this session tonight. So hopefully you'll learn something from this session. Okay, so let's start with a very basic question. What is a statement of purpose? Why is it called SOP? Is it an essay? Or is it an essay like how we would normally think what an essay is? Why EducationUSA at America has this session every single month, right? So let's start with what other essay looks like. Other essay meaning if you want to study at universities outside the US, maybe even in Indonesia or somewhere else in Asia or Europe or wherever. Let's see, are they the same with the essay as in the US, right? Other essays outside the US, it's mostly an autobiography. Maybe you guys already know this, right? It's an autobiography about yourself, and it's very centric on being a narrative, right? Or it's like you writing a letter. So maybe you guys are familiar with the term motivation letter, especially if you want to study at European countries. Also, basically in the essay that we normally know what an essay is, it's about we showing ourselves off. We basically show off, right? About ourselves to the admissions committee, right? I finished college here and then I interned there. And then I won this competition. I won that competition. I won that award. I want this award, right? Basically, what we can wrap up about what I just said, the essay that we know, it's basically about me, because we want to show ourselves off. And that's what we think what a normal essay is, because that's what we think what universities want to hear in the essay, right? Now, what if I tell you that writing a statement of purpose that is an essay for you to go to the US is none of that? And that's basically why we are having this session every single month. And yeah, I hate to break it to you guys, especially if this is your first time. I saw earlier that there's someone saying this is my second time. So this is not new for you guys. But if this is your first time, you're probably like, whoa, what? So we are not putting anything about, autobiography about myself, about I want that word, so what am I going to put in the essay? That's basically what we're going to talk about, right? But now, one thing for sure, before we move on, right? Let's agree that statement of purpose, you are not going to write any of that. I hate to give you a big X when we do the review. So guys, basically what I'm hoping and what Santika is hoping also from this session, we are hoping to see you guys after this, not tonight, obviously, but tomorrow or when Santika and I are available for a session. So usually when we have someone coming in and then, hey, Fina, this is my first time here, please, take a look at my essay. Usually my question would be, have you ever attended the session before? Again, because this is like a monthly event, right? If you say no, I will basically tell you, please go ahead and watch either the previous one or our upcoming one, because this is kind of like the starter, right? Before you come see us. And I hate to give you a big X during the session if you write something like that, what I just said, the essay that we normally know, right? Because I will be honest, Santika, we are going to be very honest. We're not just going to kind of like, oh, this is like good. Well, it's actually not enough for US essay. So usually, and then you kind of also going to hear from me how I would use terms like major revision, minor revision. And I hate to actually tell to people that this is going to be major revision. Major revision for me, meaning that you are basically going to redo the whole essay. That the next time you're coming to see me, it is going to be completely new essay. And that's usually happens when you don't attend this kind of session and you write the type of essay that we normally know. Okay. So, and another thing is, technically, there is no specific rule when writing an essay to US universities. But I am very particular when it comes to essay, because I'm kind of like calling it, this is kind of my recipe over the years that I learned from my past advisees that, oh, okay, when we're writing an essay this way and that way, the chance of them getting accepted is quite high. And the disclaimer that I want to give to you guys before I move on again is that there is no guarantee that when you go see me or go see Santika on the essay, you are 100% going to get accepted. No guarantee whatsoever, because there is actually no rule in what writing an essay should look like. But I can say this confidently that the rate of our advisees getting accepted when they are working with us on the essay is quite high. Okay, so so basically, this is also the time for you after this session for you to decide either you want to see me or either you want to see Santika or not. There is no pressure, but I just want to give you another heads up. So basically think of this session as a heads up, because I'm going to use that word a lot. So just a heads up that writing an essay, especially when you go see me and see Santika, is not going to be easy. It is going to be very challenging, but I'm telling you, it's going to be very worth it. Okay. So the problem is we think when we write an essay, right? Where we think writing an essay is very easy. And one of the key takeaways that I want you to take tonight is that I don't want you to think that way anymore. I want you to think that writing an essay is going to be your priority. The problem that we've seen over and over again, especially when people have not heard about us, is that they think that an essay is very easy to the point where they leave the most important thing from what the university is actually looking for in the SOP. Because a lot of us think, oh, it's just an essay. It's really easy. It's kind of like me writing about myself, right? It's very easy peasy. I can write it probably a couple of days before the deadline. And we don't want that, because a lot of people now leaving the most important thing from SOP. What is that? What I'm going to tell you, probably something that you really want to pay attention. That is, what do you want out of this program? What do you want out of this program that you are going to take for your master's degree or your PhD? That's it. We can even end the session if you want to. That's basically what an SOP is. What do you want out of this program? It's no longer what about myself that I can put in the essay. Okay. I'm sorry if I say this kind of very slow and kind of saying it over and over again, because I really want you guys to really understand how this essay is really different. Okay. That being said, guys, it's called a statement of purpose for a reason. It's about you making a statement of your purpose. Think that for a second. That's why they call it statement of purpose. They don't really call it essay. Yeah, some universities may call it just like an essay or personal statement, but they call it statement of purpose in general for a reason, right? We focus too long on what we have done in the past. We're talking too much about ourselves, so we don't want that anymore. Okay. Now I want to kind of ask you guys, where in the other documents, so basically from what I just kind of babbling about, where in the other documents can I have all this information? So I basically say to you guys that a lot of people actually say, talk about ourselves, where we graduated from, where we work, where did we do the intern, won that award, won that competition. Apart from the essay, because now I'm telling you already, right, that we're not going to put that in the essay. Where do you think that the universities can actually get that information from? I need to give you a couple of seconds for you to, let me open up my chat, some feature here, and see if anyone wants to say. Yeah, CV, anyone else? CV, transcript, exactly. And I don't know why other universities do that. Do you know what I mean? Other universities, they don't really care, I would say, about what is it that you want to do. They want to be convinced by you if you can say all this repeated information in the essay, but none of that for US universities, right? So yeah, it's basically in the CV. So we don't want to repeat basically all the documents that you're going to submit. We don't want to repeat that, right? So in transcript, there's going to be your list of courses. We don't want to repeat that unless the university very specific mention that they want to know what courses that you have taken, which is very rare. Okay, so we don't want basically those about me is something that we can actually see in the CV. So we want to basically put that in the CV alone and not in the essay. Okay, so you do not want to underestimate this essay because, like I said, this is not going to be easy. This is something that, because this is something new for us, that you never think about, like putting all this information about your purpose into essays, especially like in a very specific form, in a specific structure that I have created over the years. That's what makes writing an essay when you come to see me or see Santika very, very challenging or very hard, right? I keep saying this, that you do not want to underestimate the essay every single month, literally every single month. And I'm just basically going to say it again this month. So kudos to you guys who started early. For some of you who are watching the session for the first time and then you are here because you want to start your essay that have the deadline next month, you should be in a panic mode because if the deadline is next month, unless hopefully you have like a really good writing skill. So yeah, if you have your deadline not until next year, you are still in a safe position, but you definitely want to start as soon as possible. Okay. Another thing is that another heads up, we only do essays for universities, so we don't do essays for scholarship. So if you are here because you want to start writing your essay for Fulbright, for example, or for LPDP, unfortunately we are unable to do that, but we are only going to read an essay for you for the US universities. Okay. Another thing, if essay is about taking the same information as from the resume or from CV, right? Think about it. What's the point of the EducationUSA at America advisors, that is me and Santika, what is the point of us checking your essay for, right? If you have all this factual information, the keyword here is factual. Those information that you're going to put, if you keep just talking about me, is something that no one can change because it's true, right? If you have all this factual information, what part of the essay do you want checking? Do you need checking on from us, right? Are you thinking now, oh, well, you can take a look at my grammar? The answer is no. This is also another heads up. This is another disclaimer. We don't check on your grammar. We are going to help you with the structure of the essay. But then after we are done with the structure, we are hoping that you give some times before you submit your essay for your essays to be checked on the grammar part, okay? The reason is because obviously Santika and I, we are not an English native speakers. My grammar is actually really bad. But we can help you on the structure, okay? So tonight we're going to learn about, apart from like what is exactly in the statement of purpose, also what the university is really looking for, because that's also important, knowing your audience, right? And of course, the most important thing, how to write one. But, well, technically it's very easy for you to just kind of like, hear from me how to write one, but I'm not there yet because I want you to kind of like really understand the concept of the statement of purpose, because I want you to think that writing this is not as hard as you think it is. Basically, you guys watching the session already know your purpose of choosing specific programs. It's just that because probably you're kind of like never heard about, oh, okay, now I need to write something that I've never thought about before, then that's what makes it challenging. But actually, if you understand the concept of what this statement of purpose, what the university is looking for, the system on how they actually pick applicants and stuff, you will understand better. Okay. again, like I said, the reasons why the US is actually really different is because other countries, they are very academic centric, right? They are focusing mostly on your academic performance. That's why if you want to study elsewhere, or maybe some of you think also the same with the US, which I'm going to tell you that it's not going to be the case, is that a lot of us, other countries outside the US, it's all about your GPA, right? When you want to study there, they are definitely going to take a look at your GPA to the point where they put the requirements on the website. You will basically want see that on the website for US universities, because the keyword here is holistic, right? Holistic means that yes, they're going to ask for your transcript, they're going to ask for your resume, they're going to ask for letters of recommendation, they're going to ask for essay. That's because they want to see all this documents equally, right? They're not going to just take a look at your GPA, and then if you don't have a good GPA, they're going to, disqualify you. They're not going to see that. So we want to balance everything. And this is, I believe, where essay is coming very handy and very important, is because let's say you have just an okay GPA, or maybe you don't have like a really stellar GRE or GMAT score. We can play around with the essay, because essays is something that you can improve over time. That's why we keep telling people that start writing an essay as early as possible, because again, that's something that we can always improve, right? There's always okay, this is it, let's wrap this up. It's always, even if we get there, even you can actually leave it for a couple of months and then we can come back and then we can improve it. Okay. So statement of purpose weigh heavily because they really want to get to know you personally. And guys, this is something that I don't find in other universities outside the US, because they really solely want to take a look at your GPA. Like they just really want to know how smart you are, to the point where they don't care about why you're choosing this major. If you want to study aerospace engineering elsewhere, they don't care what you want to do with that degree. But in the US, they do want to know. And how can they know why you want to take aerospace engineering? Where? It's going to be in your essay. That's why I think it's actually really interesting. But then maybe this is something new to you, and then you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. How do I tell the admissions committee why I want to study aerospace engineering? And this is why you're here, right? So it's not about GPA or other things that we don't have control over. This is not also another thing that Santika and I also like to cover, because a lot of us think that, oh yeah, my GPA is just only 3.0. I'm not applying to this campus because I'm pretty sure they're not going to accept me because of this GPA. Wrong. Please get that out of your head right now. Even if you have 3.0 watching this session, trust me guys, like if you have 3.0 right now watching this session, I'm still going to push you to apply to highly selective universities, as long as you can write a good essay, right? And that's what we are here for. If you're now thinking, oh, I don't think I can write a good essay, get that out of your head. That's basically what Santika and I are here for. Okay. Again, do not underestimate. Do not procrastinate. I know I love being procrastinate as well, but this is the one thing that you do not want to procrastinate over. Okay. Now put the essay on top of on top of the list. If you can kind of get rid of the administrative part of the application, I don't know, maybe you need to translate the transcript or something like that, something that is very easy for you to kind of get it done with. Do that, but then put the essay also on top of your list. Okay. Plus, when you start very early, right? Let's say your deadline is not until, I don't know, April next year, and then you already start now. When you start early, you can have a break from writing an essay with me. Maybe not with Santika. Santika is very kind. Santika, you are going to love it when you see Santika for an essay. Although I don't know, maybe Santika can share with me later. Maybe she already level up, being kind of a little bit I don't know. But with me, I'm going to be very honest, guys. I'm not, because I want you to be successful. I want you to write a good essay. I get a lot of advices they don't say it in front of me, but I know that they get sick of me to the point where just kind of MIA. In fact, I got someone just text me tonight. He's been MIA for months And then he said, I'm ready to give my essay again to you. So he definitely took a break from me. So when you do start very early, you can technically get a break from writing an essay because it's very time consuming. Because again, like when you see me or Santika, it's not just basic, like it's not like a business like where you come to Zoom and then here's my essay and then we read it and then like there's no interaction or whatever and then you review it and then here you go, okay, bye. It's not about that. It's all about like connection. So when you think about applying to the US, right, like I said earlier, the university wants to know you personally. Think of us, think of Santika or think of me as someone kind of like from the university as well. We really do genuinely want to know you personally on why you're choosing this specific program. Okay. And I also pay attention to every sentence that you have on your draft. So this is something, if you should see this as something big, this is also something big for me because I really am paying attention to every sentence. Right. And then also another thing, maybe this is like already too late and there's no meaning of me saying this, but this, I have it on my note, something that I said back in January, where it's going to be very hard to see us. And some people already feel it. Some people already frustrated. We got a lot of emails saying, I've been waiting for 2 days. I've been waiting for hours. How come the Zoom is like still waiting in waiting room? I already make an appointment. That's because we already have a lot of advisees. Okay. There are only the two of us. So if there are like 50 of you guys watching the session and you want to see me, so there are 50 of you guys want to see me, but there's only one me. How does that work? Right. And then and what's worse is that I don't limit the session. I have like one of my advisors asked me this the other time because we had the session like really long. And then they asked me, there's no limit for me to talk to you. I don't limit the session because it's first come, first serve, right? My shift is from 6 to 9. I don't know, from 5 to 9. And so when someone comes in, if you happen to be able to see me, I'm going to pay attention to you how long it is, right? I don't care how many people are in line. I know probably it's not fair for some people, but that's how I work because when I read an essay, I'm a slow reader. I really do read the essay, okay? Okay, so now let's get a little bit more technical, guys. So I don't want to kind of like scare you or anything, but I kind of like start slow so that you guys kind of like can understand just in case like, oh my God, yes, I'm so ready. I am so going to see Fina tomorrow. I'm so going to see Santika tomorrow, only to find out that you can't see one of us until 2 weeks from now. It's very possible. People actually been wanting to see us and it's really hard. Okay, so usually the question is that people, maybe some of you already kind of like wondered now, is it hard? Is it hard writing an essay? Because you've been like talking about this, sounds like it is hard. Understanding the structure in the beginning, yeah, it is hard, especially on the introduction part. That's something that we're going to talk about as well. But once you understand what I want, what I want is the recipe, like I said earlier, that I have kind of like accumulated over the years. And once you understand that, and then you start preparing the outline, as in you understand what it is that you want to talk about in the essay. And then on top of that, you also have good writing skills, obviously in English, right? It is going to, I don't want to say easy, but it's going to kind of like somewhat smooth when you write it. Okay. And then the good thing when you see me or see Santika, again, it's not just like business like, but we are going to brainstorm together. So I'm going to ask you, right? So, hey, Fina, I want to study LLM and human rights, for example. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions first because I happen to be a very curious person. So I always like want to know, oh, that's interesting. LLM and human rights. Why do you want to study that? But I also ask you so that we have kind of like the backstory of, you know, what do you want to use LLM and human rights for when you are receiving your LLM degree, right? So that's usually what happens on the first session. Usually after I tell you guys to watch this session, feel free to start writing the draft. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to know your writing style and your writing skill. So what usually happens on the first session is I'm going to read it very quickly, no more than 30 seconds. And then I'm going to just make sure if I understand what you want to do. If I can't find that information, normally you're going to hear me saying this is going to be a major revision, especially if that first draft is going to be about yourself. Now, if you have your draft with you already, I want you to kind of like maybe later on, because I want you to pay attention to the session tonight, later on, come back to your draft and then circle all the word I or the word me. Circle that and then see how many of those. Maybe I will allow you to have probably like just, I don't know, like 4 or 5 for the entire essay. But normally it's not going to be 4 or 5. It's in the one paragraph alone. Probably you're going to have 10 or more, because I think it's going to be like a lot of me, a lot of I. We want to basically get rid of that. Okay. So attend this session, have your first draft, and then basically hear from me if I'm going to say major revision or minor revision. Major revision means that I want you to kind of like, maybe I will tell you to watch the session again, or I'm going to guide you on the spot during our session on, okay, guys, okay, whatever your name is, let's redo this. Let's write this on the first paragraph, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. Tips, maybe something that you want to remember. I have it here in my note. Otherwise I will forget. Record the session. Record the session. Don't ask us to record the Zoom. But record the session from your phone, or from, if you're doing it from Zoom from laptop, I don't know, maybe you have like this apps or something that you can record the whole session. But with phone is just audio recording would be also work. But record the session when we have the one-on-one advising session. Okay. We don't on top of, you can watch this YouTube, you can watch the session through YouTube. We don't share samples. This is also another information that we want to share with you. In fact, Santika just shared with me not too long ago that there is, someone basically asked, can you just share your essay samples from your past advisees who successfully get accepted to this university? And we have to say no to that. Do we have these essays from our past advisees that successfully get accepted to highly selective universities? Yes. Can we share it? Well, if the students say yes, then technically we can share it. Now the question is, do I want to share it with you guys? The answer is no. Because I learned from experience as well, because we did that in the past. I did that in the past to some of my advisees. And trust me, guys, it's going to put you under real pressure, because now you're thinking, oh my God, this essay that I'm reading in front of me right now is the kind of essays that get, like, whoever wrote this essay get accepted to this university that I really want to. That means I need to write something like this. And that's something that we don't want. Just simply watch the session and focus on what it is that you want to do with your program, and then go see Santika and I one-on-one. Trust me, you're going to have a really great essay. Okay. And then something also to think about, if right now you're kind of, okay, I think I'm sold. I probably kind of, want to see Santika or Fina. But at the moment you're thinking about applying to only one campus in the US, I would make you think that again. And I would definitely recommend you to not do that and start thinking about adding more universities. The reason is because this is going to be a very long journey. It's going to be a very difficult journey. It is very unfortunate, after your hard work, you only use that essay, that amazing essay that we're going to produce together, to only one campus. At the same time, maybe some of you now are thinking, oh, but I can use this essay to other countries that I want to apply to. That's something that you don't want to do that, because if you hear me talking for a good 15, 20 minutes earlier in the beginning, is that's not what they're looking for. Probably they will get to the point where that's not what we want. We don't care about what you want to use this program for. What we care is how you can convince us that you are a smart person and that you can graduate from my campus with a good GPA, because they are very academic centric. So you don't want that either. And I will be very sad and disappointed if you are right now already think about using this essay, this kind of service that we provide for free for other universities outside the US. So we don't want that. So start, consider adding more US universities when you are ready to, okay, I'm going to have this essay journey with Tina or with Santika. Okay. All right. So again, let's get more technical. This is going to be getting very technical from here on, guys. So you want to pay attention. All right. Bear with me. I'm going to have 30 minutes before 8:30 before we end the session for Q&A. Okay. But in the meantime, feel free having fun with Santika. I already have like this chat button kind of like popping up while I'm just kind of like looking at the screen at myself, talking, feeling like talking to myself. But I look forward to having the discussion with you guys. Okay, so now the question is, now we know, right? Writing this essay is really hard. Who's reading the essay? Who is reading the essay? This is also something that not a lot of us actually pay attention to. Who is reading the essay, right? The ones who's going to read the essay is the admissions committee. And who is the admissions committee? We got actually questions from people. So if I want to study public policy, whoever is going to read my essay, do they know about public policy? We got that question sometimes. And the answer is yes. So something that you also want to know when it comes to US universities is that they are very decentralized, meaning that let's say you want to study public policy at Harvard University, but then you also have a friend who wants to study law or education at Harvard University as well. Is it going to be the same people who's going to read both of your essay? No, it's going to be different. That's why I said it's decentralized, because the Department of Kennedy School for Public Policy and the Department of Education at Harvard, they have their own committee, they have their own team, right? So if you want to apply for public policy or if you want to apply engineering, that's going to go to that department. And then whoever is going to read your essay, they are the expert of public policy, of whatever it is that you want to study, data science, computer science, they are the expert. That's what makes the essay even difficult, right? Because we don't want to fool these people. They are the expert, right? And another thing is, this is also something that people kind of like, whoa, what? The fact is that this admissions committee, they are not going to always read our essay, the whole essay. They're not going to always do that, right? Because think about it, they may have 100 essays to read in a day, so they have to do it really quickly, right? This is also why a lot of them ask for a resume, but we're not talking about resume. But the reasons why they ask for a resume is because they only want to take a look at that within a minute, maybe less than a minute. So they have to do everything very quickly. They are going to do pretty much the same with essay. So if you start the essay with about me, where they can actually get that information elsewhere, there are some essays where they start, my name is. First of all, they can already see your name is from your application when you submit the application, right? Or you say, I graduated from this university. Well, they can take a look at that from your transcript, or they can see it from your resume. So why do you put that again in the essay? So we don't want to waste their time. We want to give them new information, and that's what we want to give them in the essay, right? So they're not going to read the whole thing, but then there are two types of people. This is something that I always tell every single month when I have this session. There are two type of people when they hear me saying this, the fact that they're not going to read the whole thing. The first one is thinking, oh, they're not reading the whole thing? Okay, then I'm not going to make this essay as a very important thing then. That's good. I'm not going to make it really good. But then there are the other type of person where when they hear me saying this, they will be like, no, I don't want them to stop reading. I want them to read my essays from the beginning until the end. So hopefully you're the second one, because that's what that's me too. I want them to always read the whole thing. And that's why you're coming to see me or Sandika, because that's the kind of essay that we want, right? So now we want them to keep reading the essay from the beginning until the end. That being said, guys, that what makes the first or the opening paragraph of your essay very, very, very important. I want that, like if I can, I want to kind of like stay in the statement for a good 1 minute so that you really understand. First or opening paragraph, it is going to be very important, probably the most important part of your essay. And this is something that, trust me, I have advisees that we worked together on the essay, and basically we got stuck in the introduction paragraph alone for many months, for many sessions, because like I said earlier, I don't do easy. This is not going to be very easy because I'm very particular on what we're going to write in the essay, especially in the introduction paragraph. So I already kind of somewhat make a structurized paragraphs. So when we think about writing an essay, right, we don't actually really think about the paragraphs. We basically just like write things down, whatever we want. And so we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't like that, right? When I read an essay, again, this is something that I've kind of like my recipe over the years. I want to have a very structurized paragraph, meaning that I want to have a very clear introduction paragraph or opening paragraph, followed by a number of body paragraphs. It depends on how many words that the university allow you. Hopefully the university, gives you a lot of words to write. So we're talking about 750 or even 1,000, or maybe sometimes they kind of like say, basically no words limit, but no more than 2 pages. That's very generous. And I love it when the university allows you to do that. So we're going to assume with this session tonight that that's going to be the essay that you're going to write. But don't worry if your designated university only allowed you to write like 500 words, which is very few. But don't worry about it. Right now, just think about that you are allowed to write 750 minimum, or like 1,000 and up. Okay, so I want a very specific introduction paragraph or opening paragraph, followed by a number of body paragraph. And each of those paragraphs, I am very particular on what we are going to talk about as well, right? And then we are going to close it with a conclusion paragraph. So overall, we are not going to see more than 6 paragraphs. No more than 6 paragraphs. 1 introduction paragraph, I want to say 4 body paragraphs that includes a lot of different information, very particular information that I'm going to share with you. And then conclusion paragraph. That's it. I don't want you to open up with 3 line of introduction paragraph, or maybe you don't even call it introduction paragraph. There is no name on that paragraph. I don't want that. And then usually people, after 3 lines of paragraph, followed by 7 lines of paragraph, followed by 15 lines of paragraph. So it's not like neat, This is like all over the place, and we don't want that. Okay, so that's something that we are going to guide you on. And then in the introduction paragraph, and basically overall of the whole essay, you also want to think about, maybe this is also something that you want to kind of like remember, or maybe kind of like write it down. We want to have a statement of purpose that no other people can write. You will want to write an SOP that no other people can write. Literally, like literally no other people can write. Even if you have your best friend with you who wants to study the same program, that best friend of yours is going to be your competitor, right? You don't want to basically kind of like, what do you write? Let's write this. We don't want that. We want you to write a very different essay. Or think about writing a one-of-a-kind paragraph. Okay? The reason is because, like I said earlier, right, the fact that this admissions committee is not going to read the whole thing, and we don't want that. We want them to keep reading. And also because, so let's say we successfully create a introduction paragraph that the admissions committee found it really interesting, that they actually end up reading the whole essay, which is, we can say that it's not always happened, right? Like I said earlier. So let's say they read the whole thing, right? The last thing after that is that we do not want to give them a chance for the admissions committee to consider your application from that essay alone. We kind of like want to make the admissions committee, when they are done reading your essay, they will be like, no doubt, this is exactly the person that we want for our program. That's what we want from the universities, from the admissions committee, right? So, and how to do that? Okay, Vina, we got you. That this is going to be hard. Okay, you got it. Just tell us like how to do that. First, you will want to have a theme or a topic of what you want to put in the essay, because now you understand that it is no longer talking about yourself. And then I get these questions. So where can I actually put a story about myself? And then I tell them, don't worry, we don't have to write about yourself in that sense when we're talking literally about ourselves, but I have this particular structure of the essay where without we tell about ourselves in the essay, instead we talk about what is it that we want to do in the future. We're going to kind of wrap the story in a way that the reader will just have this wow effect that, oh my God, this applicant is someone that wants to change all this, and that's what we want. That's even without you talking about yourself. Do you get what I'm saying here? Because we're talking about this specific problem, or not always problem. Maybe you want to have some kind of innovation or something. You want to start something that has never been done before in Indonesia or wherever you guys are from, that the reader will be like, wait, what? You want to do all this? That's you. That's the you part. Without we telling them that, hey, look, I graduated from this website. Or, hey, look, I'm an employee of this big company, right? We don't need that, right? So have a theme or have a topic. So right now, let's say, oh my God, I have like read countless essays, but let's say you want to study, I don't know, which one did I want to pick? Maybe you want to study, I don't know why I keep thinking about aerospace engineering. Okay, maybe a data science, right? How about that? You want to study data science. That's the program that you have been telling people. I want to study data science in the US. Maybe no one actually been asking you, why do you want to study data science? But they will be like, oh, ooh, that's really cool. You want to study master's degree. And then you come see me or you come see Santika, and then we are asking you that question. Why do you want to study data science? And maybe you kind of taken aback, like, oh, no one's actually asking you that. And then we're going to keep you ask the why. Oh, I want to study data science because, Indonesia is going to this industry 4.0 or whatever, Indonesia 4.0, or Indonesia, our current administration has this agenda. So imagine this is us doing the one-on-one advising, right? I'm asking you, okay, great. I want to do data science. Why do you want to do that? Yeah, because, our current administration, our presidents, having this agenda that in the next 4, 5, 10, 15, 25 years, we want Indonesia to go with this direction. But then because I've been in the data science industry for the past 4 or 5 years, I can fairly say that if we are not doing A, let's say, we're not going to reach that goal. And then I'm going to ask you, wait, why? Why can't we go with that, goal? Yeah, because the A problem is that we are lack in B. Oh, okay. Why are we lacking in B? That's the kind of things that I would usually ask you that. I'm going to keep you asking the why. And remember when I said record the session, because these are the kind of questions that not a lot of people kind of like expect that you're going to even answer that question that way. And then once you're kind of like telling all this why from me, usually what I'm going to tell to you is that that's what I want to hear in the essay. And so a lot of people kind of like taken aback, like, what? Really? That's in the essay? Yeah, that's in the essay. So think about the theme or topic. Why do you want to study data science? Think of the problem. Think of the issue. I got some people that, oh no, it's not a problem. we are already going in the right direction. Whatever industry it is, I can always make it into an essay, make it into a story, whatever industry it is. You can try me if you want. Please, if you want, put something like an example of topic, and then I can make it into an essay. Everything in the same structure, right? So no, it's not a problem, right? It's not an issue. We are already going in the right direction. Maybe I had an advisor talking about like our like film industry, so it's kind of like an art thing, right? We're kind of like on the right direction, but I believe that we can actually make it even better if we have this. So I want to start this innovation, but I can't start doing it now because I don't have the skill. And in order for me to get the skill is that I need to study in the US first, because in the US has this and that and this and that. Guys, that's basically what I want you to write. That's basically what I want you to write. Trust me, that's that. You present all the problem, you present all the stories, right? That's basically what I always try to look for. When I read the essay the first time, I try to look for the theme. I like to look for the topic. Okay. And then you can basically see from me when I read your essays, I like to kind of like use my gesture, like I would smile or I would nod, or sometimes I would be like, and then I'll be very honest with you. And then I'm going to keep asking you the why are you pursuing master's degree? If you right now cannot really think about like the theme, you're still kind of, I don't really still understand what you mean by theme or topic. I'm going to help you out again here. Try asking you the simple questions, right? Why are you pursuing a master's degree? That's very simple, right? If your answer is, I don't know, I mean, my colleagues or, they all do master's degree, so I want to do, then we got a problem. We got a problem here, right? But if you answer it like what I shared with you, because the current administration is and then you have like this very like what you want to do, then you basically have the foundation of what we're going to write, right? And then also another tips is, if you kind of like still thinking about, okay, what do I write? What is this theme or topic that Fina is talking about? Ask also this question: who am I trying to help? Who am I trying to help? So let's say, like I said, I want to study LLM specifically in human rights. And then you don't know what the theme or topic that you want to write in the essay. Ask yourself, who are you trying to help? I'm trying to help the citizen of Indonesia who have been, have their human rights violated. Or maybe not Indonesia. Maybe you want to focus on just like a small number of community on where you're from, maybe back on your hometown or what have you, right? Ask that. Maybe, and then if you can't answer who am I trying to help because it's not about people, then let's change it. What am I trying to help? So let's say you want to study finance, or you want to study, I don't know, public policy or something that is not necessarily go towards the people, but it eventually will help the economy of Indonesia, for example, right? Then that's what you're trying to help. Or maybe I have like some advisees wants to study engineering because they want to kind of like build this new system so that Jakarta is no longer have this flooding problem. That's not necessarily you're helping people, although eventually you're going to help people, but then what you want to focus on is the infrastructure, right? What am I trying to help? I want to help the infrastructure of Jakarta, right? And then also ask yourself, if that's not enough, what is my ending goals of doing this master's degree? And I'm telling you guys, if right now you're like, I don't really have the answer. No, you have the answer. It's just because you have never been asked this kind of questions before. And then you got this question from me tonight. So it's kind of like me challenging you to start thinking about it. So don't sell yourself out short first by thinking, oh my God, this essay is so hard. I'm not going to like apply to US universities anymore. I'm just going to like drop it. Bye. No, you guys have actually all these questions that I've been asking you just now. It's just that you just don't know exactly the answer, because again, like no one has been asking you this, right? What is your ending goals? What is your mission here? Trust me, 99% of our advisees, I want to say like in a year, Santika and I, we are meeting hundreds, and it's not like 100. I don't know the numbers. I need to know this. But I think we're meeting, like we're seeing like I don't know, like 300, maybe even more advisees every single year. I would say probably just like 3 of them that in that category where the reasons why they want to study in the US is because either their parents tell them to and they don't actually really know exactly what they want to do, or their friends, it's a kind of pressure, right? Like FOMO. So that, yeah, I don't exactly know what I want to do. So I'm just going to like follow whatever people are doing nowadays, which is go back to school. Only 3 or 4 people. The rest, which is, I'm pretty sure you guys actually have the mission here. And this is what I love about being an Education USA, especially this one study in the US, because US is just very different. And then just the fact that we can definitely see the differences in terms of, I don't know what is it in English, the term that I'm looking for, but the level or the type of advisees who wants others, or the type of people who want to study in the US is just very different. So kudos to you guys. I'm very proud of you guys in advance, even though I have not seen your essay, but I'm very proud of you for choosing the US, because applying to US is not easy. It is really hard, but then I'm glad that we are here. I'm glad that you are here, and then hopefully you're considering for using our service because it's free of charge. I happen to love reading essays, so let us help you. All right. So that's the kind of questions that you definitely want to ask, and this is kind of like for the whole essay. And then after this, I want to talk to you about the introduction paragraph. And then trust me, I'm basically going to focus so much on the introduction paragraph to the point where once you understand what I'm expecting in the introduction paragraph, once you get it, like it's click on your head, like, okay, I get it. Writing the body paragraph is going to be very smooth. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about in a second. So let's see what I have here. So ask that question. Oh, and another thing, the reasons why we do this kind of brainstorming, and Santika can definitely say this as well, is that when we have this kind of like discussion during the one-on-one, right? You have the draft, for example, but then Santika and I, we are not satisfied with what you have. And so we keep asking you questions, right? No, but I still don't understand why you wanted to do this, and then you love it, right? Because Santika and I are such like, we're giving this gesture of we really do like really want to hear it, right? And then you're going to kind of like, oh, okay, because when we do advising, guys, I mean, I don't know about Santika sometimes turning the camera off, but me, I always turn my camera on. But no pressure, you don't have to always turn on your camera. It's just like kind of like my preference. But I really do, like when I hear someone talking, I really do hear them. And so sometimes I get my advisees to the point where they really like answer it very like amazing, like to the point where I also got like excited, like, oh my God, really? That's what happens here in this country? Oh man, and you want to change that? Oh my God, you can do that? How long you can do that? And then, oh yeah, it's going to be like 3-4 years. Oh my God, whoa, that's amazing. And then I just realized it's not even in the essay. And then I will be like, how come you're not writing it in the essay? And then they will be like, oh yeah, you're right. Or sometimes they will be, oh, that's something that you want to hear in the essay. And I'll be like, what are you kidding me? And then sometimes I forgot that to tell them to record the session. That's why I have that note earlier. That's why, guys, put it on your note right now. When you have a session with me or Santika, record the session, because sometimes we are like in a heat discussion that I was like, put that. Oh my God, what you just said? Put that in the essay. And then sometimes it's kind of like, oh my God, what did I just say? And then, wait, you're not recording the session, and then they forgot. And then we don't want that. So I know that, like I said earlier in the beginning, that I'm not going to make it easy. I know that for some of you, it's going to, oh my God, this is like sounds really hard. But at the same time, we can also have like a really fun session. And I want you guys to think that this essay will be a mixture of like very difficult, very frustrating for some of you, but then at the same time, very fun as well. Okay. So that's that. Record the session. And another thing is that, so let's say you have the universities only require you to write like 250 words or like 500 words. Forget about all that. Just write as many words as possible, and let's worry about the words limit later, because I prefer to read extra information, although at the end we're going to cut things down, but it's easier for me to read as many information as possible from you guys, instead of you just give me like a very few information that I need like an extra work to get it out of you verbally, right? So just write as many words as possible. Don't worry about the words limit, okay? All right, so what is it exactly in the introduction paragraph? Introduction paragraph is very tricky because if you hear me talking from the beginning, is that we want them to keep reading the whole essays, and introduction paragraph is very important because if we don't provide a really strong introduction paragraph, I guarantee you they're going to skip the whole thing. They're going to basically like literally just, put the essay down and then they're just going to move on. They're not going to maybe disqualify you just because of that. No, but at the same time, we also do not want them to put the essay down before they finish it. So over the years, I have been kind of like changed the style of how to write the introduction paragraph. And recently, or I want to say probably like the past 1 year, I kind of like shift on how before I would recommend my advices to write this way. You can still do that. Maybe I can share with you, but then like recently, I kind of like have another way that for the past 1-2 years, I also see that, the rate of people getting accepted is also still high. So I don't really see that being the problem. That is, this is going to be something that you definitely want to jot down or write down, is that we want to give an introduction about the country, right? So assuming that you guys, I don't know, is there any of you watching this session not from Indonesia? If you're not from Indonesia, then maybe, talk about your country, right? But I'm an Indonesian. I'm a very proud Indonesian. And I just love when I hear, even if I'm Indonesian, when I read an essay that you start with an introduction of Indonesia, it even gives me like an excitement. So imagine the admissions committee who doesn't know anything about Indonesia. Let's assume that they don't know anything about Indonesia, and a lot of them probably not knowing about Indonesia. And because US universities is all about diversity, right? We agree on that, obviously. They're all about diversity. And on top of that, the fact that Indonesia is not the country where they receive applicants over applicants, like hundreds and hundreds of applicants. But Indonesia is something that probably maybe in 1 day, they would probably only see 1 or 2 or 3 Indonesian applicants. And the fact that you gave a new story about a country that they don't hear every day, that's going to be very exciting, right? So there are so many ways on how you want to do that. Recently also, I like when we start the story by giving, well, it really depends on the topic, but a lot of my advice started with the history of that specific topic that they want to talk about. So one that I can remember is that one of my advisees who wants to study about like oil and gas, so it's very engineering stuff that in the body paragraphs, I basically don't really understand what he's saying. But in the introduction paragraph, we're still working on it. We're still not done. And we have been doing it like over months. Oil and gas, yay. From one of the participants. Yeah, we actually have a number of, oil and gas. People want to do oil and gas. And so in the introduction paragraph, we were kind of like brainstorming together because for a couple of times, he presents me with so many different style of introduction paragraph. And for whatever reason, I'm still kind of like not liking it, what I read. And so we kind of like, hey, what about talking about the history of Indonesia? And so he wants to start with, he kind of like want to focus about like some electricity in Indonesia because, like we have this agenda or something, like he's the expert on that. And I told him like, you have to sound like the expert, like you have to know like what is Indonesia is going. And so he wants to start with the history of electricity in Indonesia. So I think it's actually really interesting. And then we kind of like brainstorm it together. How about like we talk about, because I asked them like the why questions, like why we have this problem. And then he said, oh yeah, because geographically we are just very interesting because we have so many different, like small islands and all that. And that's what makes the electricity problem in Indonesia, especially in the eastern part of Indonesia, very challenging. And that's something that he never thought before in putting it in the essay. But then because I keep asking the why, because I'm very curious about it. And then we kind of like agree, let's put it in the essay, right? anything, and then I want to challenge you as well, because if right now you're thinking, but I want to study this, how can I put a history story about it? Is it going to be interesting? Trust me, it is going to be interesting. Any kind of topic. Try me if you want. Leave it in the chat, and then I am going to be able to take the history part of it as the opening of the essay. So, but you don't have to always write it that way. That's just kind of like what I like to read nowadays. But that's also something that if you want, you can definitely use it, right? The history about Indonesia, or just kind of like a background of what is actually really going on in Indonesia at the moment. What's really going on? Why are you doing it? Also needs to be in the introduction paragraph. The keyword here also, you need to also show the urgency. So let's say, I don't know why I keep thinking about aerospace engineering. It's not like I have a lot of advisors who want to study aerospace engineering, but I don't know why it's keep coming up. But if you want to study aerospace engineering, come here, see me. But let's say you want to study aerospace engineering, right? And then I'm going to ask you, why do you want to study aerospace engineering? And then, maybe you say, yeah, no, because this industry at the moment in Indonesia is actually, we are doing really well. But in the current situation that we are now, it's going to be very hard for us to actually move towards X, because Indonesia wants to do Z or something, right? And then so we have the problem there, right? In the current situation, we're not going to go with the speed that we want. Why is that being the case? Oh, because we are lacking X and Y and Z. Put it in the introduction paragraph. And then, okay, why it has to be done now? Why it has to be done now, right? Why doing it? Why now? So show the urgency, but don't give out the details yet, because that's going to be in the body paragraph. So think of it like a teaser in the introduction paragraph, right? So introduction paragraph is a mixture of a bit of everything, but at the same time, we don't also overwhelm the reader. What do I mean by overwhelm the reader? Because I like to tell people, just write all the information, give out data, give out whatever numbers. According to the World Bank, Indonesia is number whatever, but then, and ironically, we are not doing enough, blah, 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 right? Sometimes I would see a lot of numbers that I will tell them like, oh, hold on, this is too much information. Maybe we can break it down, maybe take some part so that we can put it in the body paragraphs, but then we can take this part, stay in the introduction paragraph. That's what I mean by just write as many as possible. Don't worry about it. And that's like when we kind of like brainstorm it together. Okay. The ending goal of this introduction paragraph is so that it's enough to wow them. So keep thinking about the reader, because sometimes we don't think about that. Think about who's going to read this. This is someone who's the expert of the field, but let's assume that they don't know anything about the situation in our country. So then we have to show, we want to share the background, the history, and then we want to give them an imagination of what is actually really going on, but not overwhelm them at the same time, right? So another thing, you can also not just like a history, but you can also give a glimpse about Indonesia. So I like when people, especially when they are talking about like heavy science or like oil and gas and stuff, a lot of my advisees throw words like how Indonesia is, like in a ring of fire, or talk about like Indonesian archipelagos because we are like the largest in the world, or Indonesia is always like interesting at so many levels, I believe. So provide some kind of like I don't know why I come up with that, but I usually tell people like it's like a roller coaster kind of stories. So all of this in order to wow them. So, and I find this a lot from my advisee stories in the essay. So maybe we can say like, we are the worst in something, but then actually, if we do this, we can be the first in Asia, or we can even be the first in the world to do this. So you always like try to find the problem here, and then focus on that for the whole essay. And that's it. That's what we want to have in the essay, right? But at the same time, maybe now you kind of like get the idea, right? Like, okay, I'm probably going to write this, going to write that in the introduction paragraph, but this is at least in the introduction paragraph. This is something that that you want to, write in the introduction paragraph. You are not writing an academic paper, on at least only in the first paragraph. So in the first paragraph, I challenge you, whatever major that you have, I want to challenge you to write very bold. So if you have a statement, if you have a very bold statement, if you want to argue about a situation, say it out loud in the essay. We want to sound very non-formal. So it's more like a storytelling in a way. The reason is because we want to attract the reader to keep reading the next session. Okay, so I want a story and very particular ones in each paragraph too. So in the first paragraph, sounds very laid back, very non-formal. And then in the body paragraph, you can sound, not like a very academic paper, but, like providing information and, like data and all that. Okay. Let's say, so yeah, think about like the up and down tone of in the introduction paragraph. Like use words like ironically or very laid back type of words. Okay. Wow the reader with bizarre, unusual facts about the situation. Add the dramatic effects, like dramatic words, like I said earlier, ironically. There are so many words, but I can't really think of anything. I always think about like this one word, ironically, in a way. So have like this roller coaster type of tone, drop the bomb in a way, kind of like we are number whatever, but then ironically, we are not doing good in this blah, 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 blah. Okay, be bold, voice your arguments. And then the ending part of your introduction paragraph is also going to be very important because that's kind of like the key factor for the reader to, okay, do I want to read it next or not? Right? That's what makes the ending of the paragraph is going to be very important. And you can actually, and I have some tips for people to do that. You can end the introduction paragraph with questions. So if you want to argue the situation, you can kind of like give that like a questions. That's just kind of like one of the ways, right? You can also do in the introduction paragraph some kind of like a comparison with the US. So for example, the US is the third largest country in the world, the third world's largest countries. We are number 4, kind of like, we can maybe make a comparison in that. Or Indonesia and the US, kind of like we are also sharing how we are also one of the largest democracy countries in the world, right? Maybe if you want to kind of like talk about in an agriculture type of topic, Indonesia is really big in agriculture. So is the US. So make that comparison. Every single topic that you guys have, we can make it into a story and at the same time, still in the same structure that I have created. Okay. Let's see. We're almost at the end here, guys. Common mistake. Yeah. So let's see. Sometimes because the introduction paragraph, do we have to use citation? I kind of like read that. No, I'm good. This is not the Q&A yet, but I kind of like this pop up all of a sudden. We're going to talk about that, but just a quick answer. We don't have to worry. Again, citation equals academic paper. And I said earlier that we don't want to write an academic paper, so citation is not needed. It's not like they are going to, if you put citation, they will be like, okay, we're not going to read it anymore, but I just don't really see the need for that. So no citation. You just simply say, where did you get that data from? So a lot of my advisees get it from whatever, like website or, articles or something, or maybe even like data from our country, right? According to Ministry of blah, 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 something like that. Because a lot of people really find it challenging in writing the introduction paragraph. They just, like, where can we learn how to write it? And then I found that if you can find some online newspaper, locals like the Jakarta Post or, international ones also works. but find the opinion section, but very particular, and the topic where the journalist is argue about something. So find the topic that is kind of like hot or like even taboo if you want to go there. But they really voice them out like through that opinion section. That will be kind of like close to the kind of introduction paragraph that I'm looking for, right? Because a lot of my advisees, a lot of you guys probably actually want to fix something of a situation that at the same time you have to argue about the current situation. It's not like you're like a blaming game or something, but when you actually can be bold in saying it, who's doing it wrong, but then at the same time you want to fix it, then that's going to be very interesting on the reader's perspective. Think about that, right? And that's what we want. Okay. So, and then some people ask me, how about personal approach? Can I tell my personal story in the introduction paragraph? You can, but probably like in a year, I would find only 5 people who is enough to write an introduction paragraph from their personal story. I'm not saying that your personal story is not going to be interesting, but I just find that if we write it differently by just simply go ahead and talking about the situation in Indonesia and not so much about your personal upbringing, that's going to be more, more, I don't know what's the word, but it's maybe more interesting, I would say. Right? Unless it's very unusual. So a lot of my advice is coming from the eastern part of Indonesia, for example. So if some of you from the eastern part of Indonesia, a lot of my advisees actually doing it kind of like using a personal approach. But if you guys kind of like in the, metropolitan area, like in the big cities, I prefer to just kind of like stick with the situations of that topic. Okay. And so what happens after you write that kind of introduction? You're giving the teaser, you're giving the urgency, you kind of like give them the background of what is going on. Then you move on to the body paragraph, and it's going to be very smooth. And then I'm going to end it within 5 minutes so we can have a discussion, right? It's going to be very smooth because in the body paragraphs, what happens is that after the introduction paragraphs, you are going to continue. If you want, you can continue discussing the information that you have given in the introduction paragraph. So maybe you want to provide more data. Maybe you want to provide more reason on why such thing happens. Do that in the body paragraph. Keep doing that. And then to the point where you're done. And then the next body paragraphs is when you kind of like have this one paragraph talking about the university that you want to go to. It is very important. That is going to be in one paragraph alone, where you basically is saying that having said this all information that I just shared in the introduction paragraph and body paragraph, that's why I need to study at this university because this university has this and that, this and that. And this is another thing that you don't want to underestimate that, because we want to make the whole paragraphs into one story. Everything has to be connected, meaning that even when you talk about the universities, you have to be able to connect that to the problem that you have in the previous paragraph. So how do you do that? Maybe you want to connect, okay, there is this one thing that is missing from me, let's say, right? That I need to learn about this one course of data science because that's what is lacking. And then you talk about that course in that one paragraph, and then talk about how that course alone can help you tremendously in getting on to whatever it is that you want to do in the future, aka your purpose. That's why it's called statement of purpose. That's your statement, right? And then maybe you can also talk about professors, the faculty, any faculty members in there that you believe can help you tremendously, again, in getting to wherever it is that you want to do after you graduate. Or maybe you talk about what makes this particular department of this particular university is different than other universities in the US. Maybe they have programs that no other universities have or normal universities have. This is might be the only university that you have to, after you're done doing the research, this is the only university that you can find out that they do have this whatever program, internship or whatever, right? Talk about that, right? And what happened after that is you are going to meet your conclusion. Conclusion is really tricky because basically in the term of conclusion alone is basically when you are wrapping things up without repeating what you said. And I don't even know how to do that. So I find another way to write a really interesting conclusion. That is making it into like your action plan. So you are done giving the introduction about the country, providing all the information, providing all the situation, the issue and what have you. And then you're done talking about, look, I need to study in your campus because your campus has this and that, has this and that. And in the conclusion paragraph, think about your action plan or the first few things that you are going to do when you are done with your degree, when you get your degree, when you're done with the master's degree or PhD, right? And then the key word for conclusion is ambitious. You want to sound very ambitious, even though a lot of my advisors kind of like afraid writing this conclusion because they said, yeah, we can go this big, but then I don't know if you're going to make that happen. And I said, but is it possible? They say, yeah, it's possible. Then go ahead and write it. It doesn't have to be something that has to 100% happen. But if you believe that it's possible to do this action plans, then write it. And basically that's it. That's it, guys. I pay a lot in the introduction paragraph because we basically cannot move on to the body paragraphs and the conclusion if we are not able to make the introduction paragraph wow enough for the reader to move forward. So that's why I focus so much on the introduction paragraph. And then in the body, again, like once we are basically, done with the introduction paragraph, like I said, body paragraphs and body conclusion is going to be very, very smooth. Okay. So in summary, right, before we start doing the Q&A, the key takeaways that we can take from this session tonight: the fact that writing an essay or statement of purpose is not a CV or resume approach. It's not a biography. We don't want a lot of me, or I in that essay. We want to focus on what it is that you want to do with the country, with whatever it is that you want to focus on. Provide the problem, provide the issue, show the urgency. That's number one. The second one is start early. So if you have your deadline next month or the next 2 months, is it too late? Yeah, very late, but I don't want to stop you from seeing us either. Although we can't guarantee that you will be able to see us very soon, but keep trying, because it's really hard to see us because there are only the two of us and we received a lot of requests. Number 3, write one of a kind essay. I think this is also something that is very, very important, something that you really need to think and plan it ahead. You want to make sure that you are writing an essay that no other people can write, okay? Come up with a theme or topic, or if you're still kind of like unsure how to do that, ask the big questions. Who am I trying to help? What am I trying to help? What is the ending goals of all this? I want to study MBA. Why do you want to study MBA? If you say because you want to level up your career, I'm going to say it very bluntly. That's you being very selfish, and that's not really what I want to read. But think about, even if eventually you want to be selfish because you want to level up your career, but please have the courtesy to think about what it is that you can help with this program out of MBA. All right. Another thing is introduction is very important. Basically, we cannot move on before both of us agree that this introduction is amazing. And of course, last but not least, write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. You will get to the point where you are going to be very frustrated with the whole thing, and that's very normal. I am only here, Santika's only here because we want to help you. I don't do easy. I'm not going to make it easy either, because I want you to provide an essay that is just like really, really good. But the more we ask you to rewrite your essay, the more you feel like, is Fina is giving me a hard time? Maybe she doesn't like me or something. Don't ever think that, because trust me, I don't hate you or anything. I just want you to come up with a really interesting essay. I have an advisees whom we stuck on the introduction paragraph after 15 times, 15 sessions. We are not going anywhere. But at the same time, I keep telling the person, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. But this advisees has come to see me from January. So we're taking it slow. If you have the deadline like next month, don't expect to see me 15 times and we still stuck in the introduction alone. We won't probably have time. Okay. All right, let me stop there. Sandika, how are you doing?
Hi, Vina. Thank you so much for the elaborated talk on how to write a very, very good or one of a kind essay that you like to say that our target is making our advices to make one of a kind essay. And I just want to highlight all of what you are saying. But the first one is, don't be scared of. But if I'm going to say I'm going to help this area in Indonesia, won't that be something general, or like all of the people who apply for my program to the States or maybe other countries will say this thing. So what happened last year, I think, was very funny. We have multiple different advices coming to us with probably more or less the same program, which is like technology related. And all of them talk about Industry 4.0 at some point. But the way they say it is always different from one person to another. It's the same Industry 4.0, but they just, even if they mention the same statistic or whatever, it's just different. The sentence is different. The style of writing is different and everything. So you don't want to, before you start writing, you don't want to tell yourself that, okay, this is not going to work out because the topic is just so generic and whatever. Write it down and try to meet Fina and me, and we will tell you whether or not it is generic or if we have read it somewhere before. And if that's the case, then you need to change that, because you don't just want to copy paste some parts from the university website where it says this program is intensive and it is cutting edge, blah blah blah. I've seen so many parts when they talk about why this program in this university in the States, and they always have this cutting edge word that makes me ask this question to the advisee: hey, do you take this from the website? And they're like, yeah, because I don't know what else to write for why I choose this program in this university. It's because, well, it's the name, right? One of the reason, of course, we know it's the name. And especially if you are in LPDP or you already got LPDP, your choice are very limited to those highly selective schools. And sometimes you won't be able to say very in-depth things on why you choose the program and university, aside from, well, it's on LPDP and I have to choose, right? You don't really have specific or personal reasons per se. But what Fina and I always encourage you to do is go find out, like research on it. Like, okay, this program in let's say NYU or Columbia or whatever is probably like the only one who have this or that. And if you can find the courses that Fina have already said this, and I will always look for this in your essay. If you have mentioned any courses that is crucial for your for your success, for your to realize your career goal, to personal goals that they are usually asking in the prompt, in the question that you have to write about. And after that, you just need to, come to us, basically. Just do your best in writing it, and we will tell you what's next. Because sometimes when you watch this session, one of my advisors actually tell me this, like, when you watch the session, Fina's sharing and me talking as well, you guys are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna write that. But when you're writing, you're like stuck. right? So just do your best. The first sentence, the first paragraph is the hardest because you probably don't know where to start, but start anyway, and then come to us with your draft. We will tell you if you need to fix certain things. Sometimes our advisees come to us, Yafina, with the first draft that is reciting the CV and resume, everything. And we just tell them like, this is not how you do it. You have to maybe incorporate this, tell things about this. You don't want them to, read your essay. And then when they look at your CV and resume, there's nothing new. What's there to get to know you and from other aspect or documents. So that's our job to check and to let you know. So you don't have to worry that, oh, I have to come to Fina or Santika with my best draft, like the final draft. And you will be surprised how many things we can comment on your essay. And that's probably, I've been thinking, Fina, that's probably why a lot of people come to us kind of like last minute for their essay review with us before their deadline. Is because they think, oh, okay, I'm just gonna ask Fina or Santika to proofread it. But surprise, surprise, we have so many things to ask, right? Always. And I said in the chat box, we are so kepo. If you're not Indonesian, you're probably not familiar with, but we are just like so curious on asking why you want to do this. Why you want to
and the interesting part about us being kepo is because the universities also kind of like in a way kepo, you know what I mean? And so they actually do want to know you on a very personal level.
We are the extension of that US university admission. We are like acting to be them when we read the essay. So if you mention something about Indonesia, that if you mention like one island name, like let's say NTT, and then when we read your essay, you don't give further explanation, probably visualization on where this island is in Indonesia, I will be like, hey guys, so you know what? The admission office will not know where this is, like what kind of island is this? They don't know what you know from your point of view. So you gotta, add certain details or extension of this to let them visualize. If you want to talk about Papua, you can tell them that it is like, Pulau Paling Kanan di Indonesia or whatever like that. So give them a context to visualize on, and as well as like your personal and your career goal. If they ask for it, the more detail you can go or tell them, the better, because it shows that you know what you want to do. Like you already visualize it, you can say it, you can write it down, you can let people know about what you want to do. But if you're like, okay, I'm gonna build this company, but you don't tell them like what this company will do and what kind of problem that it can solve and whatever, then they will just think like, okay, everybody can say this, but what are the chances that you only mention it and later on you want to make it real, a reality? So you have to kind of like show them that you put effort, even though it's just a plan, right? You have the maximum effort of making it happen from now. And that's why you probably have to take this master or PhD or even bachelor if they really ask you what kind of major you want in bachelor, which I doubt for the essay. Okay. So I think enough about that.
I'm looking, I'm scrolling down and read some of your questions, guys, here, and I love what I read so far. So let's get into it. So in the meantime, if you also have some questions or just comments, I think in the chat we have some here, but we'll get to that. So I will probably like skip some that Santika has answered, but like let me start with like what I'm reading here on top from Widya. Kak, so about this statement of purpose, is it possible if somehow we also are stating our long-term goal is working in the States? I got these questions not too often, but we probably do not want to say that, especially if we start the whole story from kind of, giving this background about like the situation of the country, and then just to say at the end that we want to continue working in the US. So then it's going to basically defeat,
the whole purpose of
Totally. Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And so none of my advisees actually write an essay where they would actually at the end say that, unless you want to tell from the beginning that you want to better the country of the US if you are going to end up in the US, which I have not read something like that actually. Yeah.
So yeah, I answered Widya in the chat box. If you guys are not in Zoom, you probably didn't see this, but I told Widya that for short term, if you are aiming to try for the OPT opportunity of OPT, which is optional practical training, it is what all international students in the United States have opportunity of, which is you have to apply for it. So it is like a program where before you graduate, you can apply for this OPT and then get the permit. It allows you to find a full-time job after you graduate to work up to 1 year. And for STEM field or STEM designated programs, you can try to apply for the extension later, up to 2 years extension. So that can be total of 3 years working experience if you get a job and you get the permit, and you get the extension as well if you're in STEM. So in short, it is that kind of program. But if you say you want to, stay in the States and, live there and work there, in your personal statement or statement of purpose for the US university, we don't encourage that, because another way to say it is like, your goal is probably more to the citizenship rather than being an international student, which they need for their diversity. So it just defeats the purpose, like Fina said. So we don't recommend that. And if I see that in the essay, I will tell them that this is going to be risky, but by all means, you can still try it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
which one you want to?
Yeah. So just real quick from Shrishti Das from Zoom. Thank you for the question. Hopefully you're still watching. Well, hopefully everyone's still watching this who asked these questions. Is it a free program or is there some procedure to do it? Definitely free. All of the EducationUSA services at America, all over the world, in Indonesia as well, it's free of charge. So I know it sounds too good to be true, because Santika and I, we are assisting everyone in the essay very kind of like deeply in a way. And yeah, it's free. So, and I happen to
Fina, you actually answered this the opposite of me. I took this question as if Shrishti is asking if there is like a program that helps us writing an essay. So I tell her or him, there's no such program, because then it will be kind of like generated, even if there is one.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, thank you so much for adding the perspective here. See, guys, it's a simple question, but we can have different perspectives.
Yeah.
Imagine about your essay when you come to me or Fina, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So yes, everything's free with EducationUSA. And for the program, if that's what you mean by asking a program that helps you write, unfortunately there is none that I know of, and I wouldn't recommend it if there's one, because then it will show like very rigid. The style of writing is not something that it is more like a robot based thing. One of my advice actually told me there is one program or platform for you to review your essay, but it came out really badly, and then he came to me. That's why.
Yeah, I don't really see that. I don't think it's necessary. Let me just put it that way, because writing this is mostly almost like you're writing a story. Again, like I said in the beginning, we are not writing an academic paper. We're writing, a story. I can't really find any other word. So yeah. And so let's see. Hi Santika, if the deadline is January 2020, 2022, which is a few months from now, can I still discuss my statement of purpose with you guys? The answer is absolutely. But again, Santika and I, we have different style, and I'm also definitely open for like we're not trying to, okay, if I do this, Santika also has to do that. If Santika does certain way, I have to do like certain way as well. So with me, I will definitely take however last minute of an essay that you have. I will still take it, but then just a heads up. I mean, I will be very honest. So if your deadline is only a week away, and then I just say this is a major revision, and with the rating of how you write, to be completely honest with you, I don't think we have the time, but it's up to you. But I know with Santika, you can share, Santika, how you're
Yeah,
doing.
so in the past, I did my best to cater everyone, including those who have a very close deadline, which is like a few days before the deadline, or even just a week away deadline. And it didn't turn out well, because when he or she came to me and I commented, or like, give suggestion on which part to change the essay, like I said earlier, a lot of people are surprised that there are so many things to comment on their essay. Because maybe, before they come to us, they come to their friends or family, which, they don't feel comfortable in saying, I don't think your essay is strong or good, or I don't really understand. They don't feel this, they have to be honest with you, because they will feel like if I tell you, you will be discouraged. But it's different with us, because you come to us to improve your essays, right? So I give the comments, and they're shocked, and they say, okay, I will revise this, I'll come back to you. And few days passed, and an email come in and saying, sorry, Santika, I don't really have the time to make a revision, so I'm just going to submit this anyway, even though I know it's not such a good essay. And so can you imagine someone submitting something to their dream university, to a school where they really want, knowing that, okay, I can do better? You feel that feeling, and I feel bad as well. So I feel like, okay, I shouldn't do this anymore, because then it will just make them not confident before they want to submit the essay. And especially for those of you who come to us, the majority who come to us are those people who already is in the work. They have a job, they have a family, and they have a lot of things to juggle, of course. And so that can just happen, So that's why we always encourage people to come to us at least a few months before. So January is fine, December is still okay. It depends, right?
I asked earlier in Zoom chat, when is the uni first deadline for you guys? And then we got Iqbal here said January 1st. We got Aulia January 5th. We got Rizky December 15th. Keep it coming, guys, if you want to share with us, just so that we get a better idea. However, we got a problem with, not trying to put you in a corner, but Putu said 5th of October. So it's less than a month. But do you, if the question is, can I still see one of you for the essay? Absolutely, yes. But to be completely honest with you, I mean, I would definitely have a lot of expectation coming from you, especially from the way you write and everything. So give it a try if you want to coming in, definitely. Or, there are some people who just by simply watching, our sessions, they pretty much get it the first time, to the point where they don't see the need to see one of us. Then amazing. That's basically also, what I'm hoping for. Although, of course, definitely come see us if you see the need to do that. So
yeah. Another thing that coming to us with your such close deadline is because we don't want to fail your expectation of giving you time, because we are so crowded. And as Vina said, we try our best to do the first come first serve basis. So for me, it is first come email. I'll just give my schedule first to the first to the earlier email. So if that's the case with you, like you only have 2 weeks, imagine that you have to get a schedule like a few days after your email. So that can be very frustrating as well. And especially, I mean, if you still have a lot to improve on. So this is really case by case. It depends on where your English or writing level is. If you already have a very good English and writing level and come to Fina or me, last minute probably is not going to be destructive. Yeah, if I would say this is case by case, but if you still need a review session, regardless of which how close your deadline is, try to come in. But we cannot give you the guarantee of you can meet us based on your deadline, because we have so many people coming in during near the deadline. That's what I was saying. Okay.
Totally. Yeah. And so I think we got more questions that are kind of like technical, which I love. So let's see real quick here from Aulia. Do we need to make an appointment for Zoom or just log into Zoom? Santika, I believe, have already shared it. Basically, yes. Our only platform for a one-on-one session is only via Zoom. No password. We can give you the link again later. There is actually no need to make an appointment, but if you want to do so, you can do Calendly. But
I don't recommend, guys.
Yeah, to be completely honest with you, it just doesn't really work. Yeah, the reasons why we have that is because it's mostly for other EducationUSA centers across the country, but EducationUSA at America, I would say the only center of EducationUSA Indonesia that is very comprehensive, and the flux of people coming to see us is incomparable compared to like other centers. Oh my god, like I said, we met hundreds of people every single year, and August is always like the starting point of people coming to see us, and we definitely see that. Like, this is something that we are expecting this to happen, that this month we are seeing a lot of people, and then this is going to get worse from here on. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is that just don't give up. You probably will have to stand by in Zoom for hours without able to see us for that particular day. I'm sorry if that happens to you, but keep
That's
trying.
the best we can do.
Yeah,
I mean,
but keep trying,
especially during this peak season. I wouldn't call it peak season because it sounds very leisure, very like touristy stuff. But this is the most crowded time of the year, and I just, when Fina was talking, I was like trying to multitask this, right? I was like listening to Fina and replying or scheduling my advicees. I replied to at least 6 emails already, and that means 6 persons for the next few days.
Right.
And I think that's just 2 days that I'm available because we have to alternate between our event day and our non-event day. And we don't usually have advising during days that we have event, because we have to prep for this, and then both of us will be here. Plus, sometimes I already do advising session on the event days, Fina, just because we have so many people, and giving them a long wait is something that I feel bad about. So I try to compensate that. But even so, we don't have enough time, guys. So please have patience and keep on trying. I know that there's this one participant in Zoom that when we just started, she told me why I asked, she already emailed us, and I tell her to come in for the Zoom. And I think she was not ready for, in-person session, and asked why the essay review have to be conducted in Zoom. And the reason being that, can you imagine if we do essay review via email, it will be very passive and kind of like one-way communication at that time, right? Because when I say it, this is my comment, and I cannot hear your input on that. Like, oh, Santika, I don't agree on that because I already tried this and that, and things like that. So for essay and CV or resume review, all reviews, or even a simple talk where you have questions, kayak Santika, Fina, how can I find this kind of information and blah blah blah. We do prefer to meet you or talk. At least talk. If your video is off, that's fine. At least talk in Zoom. So
yeah, cool. All right, so time flies. You only have about like 7 minutes, so I'm going to go real quick here. Hanif from Zoom. Hi, advisor. Hi, Hanif. If the uni that I want to apply stated that GRE is optional, I love this, but strongly encourage and I don't have the GRE score right now, is it smart move if I invested the remaining time, 2 to 3 months, for polishing my essay instead? Anyway, I want to apply for professional studies field. Really good question, Hanif. Basically, the way I look at it is it really depends, right? How confident are you by taking the task that you are going to ace that, right? Within this 2 or 3 months that you said you have. If you feel that, all right, well, I need to, like do a lot of practice first, maybe it will take like 1 month or 2 months, while at the same time I need to juggle between work and also writing this essay, I would definitely skip the GRE and focus on the essay for real. Because at the end of the day, they basically say that it is optional. All right. So that's that. And then let's see for another one. From Alfian here, Alfian Azwar, Kasantika, in your opinion, is the university will be more appreciative on our statement of purpose if we mention that we want to have, in your opinion, is the university will be more appreciative in our statement of purpose if we mention that we want to help the marginalized group like ethnic minorities, small farmers, LGBT? I love this question. And the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. So if you can actually make it as marginalized as possible, that would be great. But at the same time, if you want to make it as big as the country, that's also amazing. But don't have to feel the pressure, because I keep telling about like, bringing, talk about the country or everything. You don't have to feel the pressure that you have to write it that way. All right. Let's see here from ISPI, Kasantika. Okay, more time is perfect for practicing to improve the essay for applying Fulbright. I'll contact you soon after I revise my essay intensively by myself. Well, again, like technically we don't read an essay for a scholarship. However, if you want us to kind of like still take a look at your scholarship essay, especially Fulbright, maybe only Fulbright, just as long as we can say yes case by case, but only if we are only going to see that type of essay as if we are reading an essay for universities. How about that? Okay, but technically we don't actually read. We don't read a scholarship essay. Okay, let's see here. Srishti does. I am confused about where to start about writing an essay. Yeah, trust me, you're not alone. Everyone does. And what kind of topic to pick first and all that. I don't, Srishti, I don't know if you attending the session late, but if you are, I would definitely recommend you to, after this session, don't worry. I mean, you pretty much kind of like lost, but just rewatch the session again, because we pretty much like cover the whole thing on how to write. But trust me, you're not alone on how to start writing an essay. Watch the session again. And then if you're still kind of like confused, then try to go to Zoom and then we can talk about that. Okay. From Dania Arcela, hi, is there any essay structure guidance that we can follow when starting to write the essay? Actually, no. Again, if you kind of like joining the session from the beginning, I basically said that there is technically no particular kind of like right or wrong on, writing an essay. This is something that I come up with over the years. So I call it kind of like my recipe over the years. So basically just watching the session, come see us one-on-one, and you are going to be able to produce the kind of essays that I meant by having the session. All right. Okay, let's see. Hi, is there any okay, I just read that. Do you have such a structured registration link or something that guide us to terms of condition getting an advisor for the essay matter? I'm living in Tokyo and thinking to take the program if I will. This is actually really interesting, Santika, because I think the previous one also think that it is a program. So technically there is no specific program when it comes to essay. Oh, this is actually really interesting. Something to think about. No, this is basically...
Yeah, or what they mean by program is like a program with us to, write essays, like a mentorship program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If that's what you mean, ini dari Subahagia Randy. If that's what you mean, basically there is no any particular like program. This is like an open type of program. You basically just need to jump into Zoom, and if you get the chance to see us, then we're going to guide you, and all of it is going to be for free. So it's really interesting.
Right.
Let's see, 4 more questions, and then we're going to close the session. Is there any requirement for essay topic? Because I would like to apply in a few universities. Is it going to have the same requirements? Oh yeah, I think I didn't get a chance to talk about it. I'm not going to talk it really deeply, but if you remember what I said earlier about, if you at the moment only think about one campus, but then I would definitely recommend you to kind of like rethink on adding more universities, because we are going to focus on just one essay that it is going to be applicable to other universities, especially, well, assuming that you're going to apply to one program, which is pretty much like the same program. We can actually use the same story over and over again, maybe just modify or change that one particular paragraph when we're talking about, like the campus and stuff. But yeah, think about, if you have more than one campus, that's even better. Okay. Let's see, what would be the process of your reviewing our essay? Again, if you also think that this is a program, this is really funny. Basically, you just need to come into Zoom. Again, we are available every single day from 1 until 9 p.m. Jakarta time. Santika is doing the earlier shift, so you can, if you want to see Santika, basically we do the same thing. But if you want to see Santika is available from 1 until 5, and then I'm going to take over the evening slot, so from 5 until 9 p.m. Technically, we are available every day, but then again, sometimes it's going to be very hard to see us. Again, if that happens to you, we apologize in advance. Keep trying. Don't give up. And yeah, that's that. And then let's see.
Yeah, guys, when Fina and I said it's hard to meet us, it doesn't mean like it's the lottery, something like that. No, it's just like you probably have to be more patient and waiting, and check your chat box if you are in Zoom. If the meeting has started, check your chat box, because when we are in a session with other advisees, we can let you know, hey, we are in a session, so we cannot meet you now or whatever. And probably if it's me and I do have like time tomorrow, I will tell you to like email me and come in tomorrow, whatever, like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, stay alert for the chat box. Okay. Don't miss that.
Yeah. And then we answered about the citation earlier. So basically no citation. And then just one last question from Sanjeev Gupta here. Any session on how to shortlist universities? Well, we can kind of like do one-on-one on that. Although at the end it's going to be your homework. And then Sanjeev also asked, am I late for fall 2022 if I haven't shortlisted the universities yet? Well, it really depends. I mean, a lot of universities have their deadline as early as December. And I would say we probably still have time. But again, we have to see a lot of like consideration, like, what are they asking? Did they ask, for like standardized tests or something? But as long as we have universities where the deadline is still not until next year, we still have some times, right? So that's definitely something that we can kind of like, talk over, one-on-one. Okay, so that's that. Oh, thanks guys so much. Thank you guys so much for spending the time tonight with me, hearing me talking pretty much like for a long time. I really do hope that you learned something. I'll be open for any kind of feedbacks. If you have any, whatever it is, please share with us. And I look forward in having you guys tomorrow or some other days when Santika and I are available. Again, thank you guys so much. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Santika, and thank you for the whole Ad America team. I look forward in having you guys this coming Saturday for another session of IELTS, and then of course next week. And stay tuned to our upcoming events next month. And yeah, thank you guys so much. And I'm going to give it back to our amazing e-guide, Aninda, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Kavina and Kasantika. It was an insightful session. Earlier in this event, we asked our audience, the question was, which of the following is not an element of the statement of purpose? And the correct answer is D, research budget. Well, shout out to @Agung Sudarmaji from Instagram for answering correctly. Thank you to everyone who has participated to our question of the day. Don't forget to tune in next time and catch a chance to get a live shout from us. Also, I mentioned about our giveaway, the AirPods. I'm sure that all of you are wondering how to get it. Well, you can simply create Instagram Reels with your friend using a song from Latin America artists. For more information, you can visit atm.tv/US Connected. Now, you may be wondering, how can I develop an awesome idea with a place like this? Very easy. You can send your event proposal to us by visiting our website at www.atamerica.org.id, select Create a Program, and go collaborate with us. All the event proposals will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon. Also, while you are there, you can also subscribe to our newsletter to get our weekly event updates. Well, we are in the end of our event. It's been fun. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye. You can follow our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at AT America for all our event updates and fun content, and also so much more. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, thanks for joining us again. My name's Aninda, and see you next time. Bye bye.